25 do-it-yourself businesses you can start on Shopify this year. If you're still thinking whether or not dropshipping is profitable, you're probably looking towards some legit business. And here are 25 e-commerce businesses you can start that have a booming trend. And I'll give you a unique insight from Zima Media's perspective because we've had many of these clients as a customer. We know the kind of sales they get, and I can give you a couple pros and cons in order to help justify where you can fill in the gaps as an entrepreneur that wants flexibility, generating your own income, and grow a thriving business where you have no 9-to-5, you have no bosses, and you have a true passion that you can love. Let's dive in. Businesses here are all going to be handmade goods, whether you're making them with your hands physically with your products or you're using your mind to resell your expertise. These are all great products you can use with Shopify. All you need is a Shopify subscription. You can make the theme yourself or pick a theme and do everything yourself. This is a great way to start. I recommend doing this because you can test different businesses. You can do 5 of these different businesses till you find the one that actually works. So what can you do to start this business and find the right niche? Here are 25 products we can start with. First is bath bombs and handmade soaps. This is a huge trend all over the world. You can make your own soaps from molds. You can make them from different ingredients and you really put your mark on it. You have to differentiate with a really good story, and that's how you can build from simple recipes and scale your business. T-shirts and printed merchandise. This is a very lucrative business. However, a lot of players have really cornered this over the last 20 years. You have to research your industry and find a unique angle because you have some startup costs here because you are going to partner with a drop printer, but eventually you're going to want to get your own printer. Eventually you're going to want to source your own materials so you can really put your mark on it. The more you can source yourself, the higher your profit margins will be and the more lucrative your business will be. Jewelry is a very important one. I think this takes a little bit more effort because you have to be an artisan to the point where you can work with gold, you can work with gems, polishing stones, and actually making fittings. If you partner with somebody that is talented in this area, you can take over the e-commerce side of things. Jewelry sells in a couple places. A lot of these businesses succeed offline. You have to go to your customers to fairs and events so they can really get exposed to your product. And with jewelry, you have to have a unique style and a story and beautiful pictures and photography. Anything that is expensive has to look good online, and you really have to make that investment. All you need is an iPhone, but you can do it. Now, curated subscription boxes, these are interesting. We've seen subscription boxes from junk food to luxury items to CBDs. It doesn't matter what you want to put into that subscription box. It matters that you need to find a channel of customers, people that are willing to subscribe. So this is really important if you have some strategic partnerships or you work with community members that can help you get these boxes into the hands of individuals. You have to determine who your customer is going to be and what you're going to put into those boxes. Candles is a really popular one, but it can be a trap because it's a booming industry. It's huge. It's multi-billion dollars. It can be anywhere from scented, luxury to novelty and to fun. So prioritize the candle business in terms of how you can differentiate and generate sales. But remember, candles are heavy, just like coffee mugs and things like that. So this means your shipping costs could be high. And in an e-commerce business, most customers are expecting free shipping. Now, sweets is a really good one. You can do baked goods. I just built a website for Loaded Pockets where they make hot pockets, luxury hot pockets, and you can make jams and custom sweets that have a longer shelf life. They can be preserved and you can sell through them rather than having something that's perishable. Having a store with perishable goods is bad because you can start losing money if you don't get that volume. And to get that volume, you might have to pay for ads initially. Now, arts and prints is really cool, but you have to be in a space where you're exclusive. So one example would be the guys that take pictures of your retina. There's a lot of them out there, but it is actually niche. You have to go to a studio, they have to use a camera, they have to use a special lens, you have to sit down in front of it. So you have to differentiate because arts and prints can be lucrative, but there's just so many players in the AV space, photos, videos, that it could be really crowded. So Unless you have something really unique, this is one that you might not want to prioritize. Digital products are important, but you have to understand people value something that's tangible in their hands rather than that's something that's digital. How many 99-cent ebooks have you bought along the way in your career? Does that really add value? Well, it added value to the person that sold it. So you can do that as a trial to help the ins and out, because if you have a website, a great idea for a digital product, you can try to sell it and see where it goes from there. This is huge in the video game space, especially so skins and things like that. Enamel pins, if you can work with somebody that can make these enamel pins, you can put your mark on it with your designs and actually help feature creative messages and actually do some community support. Community support is a really big one. You want to build a relationship with your community because that's marketing. You're doing one-on-one marketing, you're doing one-on-one market research, you're talking to customers. If you're in front of your customers, you're going to start to get sales. That's how Zima Media succeeded. We had over 3,000 businesses and they are our most vocal advocates. You want to have an affiliate network built that way. Now, traditional handcrafted goods, leather, wood, embroidery, anything that's unique and timeless, these are very good, but you have to understand that wood and leather, these have a higher cost to get the materials, and the time and the effort to produce these products can take a while. And if you go too niche, like we had a client that does custom vinyl shelves and things like that, you might reduce your pool of customers. So you want to go broad, but not too broad where you're competing with the Amazons and the other retailers that really, have a shelf. Is a wooden shelf really that unique? Can you put your mark on it? You can if you have a good story, and that's something that will push you forward. Lip balm is another easy one. It's beeswax and natural oils, perfect for beginners. Anything in cosmetics is pretty good because there's a big markup, but you have to understand if there's a big markup, that means your competitors, the Revlons of the world, are willing to spend almost all of that, 8, 9, 100% profit could go into ads to launch a new product. And that might drown you in terms of the advantage you have with your product. That's why competing online is good, but you also want to compete offline and get customers to follow you and build your network that way. Pottery and clay objects. I think this one's very unique. It may seem played out, but you can create unique sculptures and functional dishware at home. And I think this is very good because you can have unique pieces and customers are looking for something unique, and that's how you can stand out. Pet supplies is one of my favorite ones. You can make homemade treats, toys, and personalized collars to cater to a growing market. Pets are huge, but you have to take into consideration you have a lot of competitors and dropshippers already running pet supplies. And where you get crushed in pet supplies is having a small average basket value. You want to be pushing between $50 to $100 per order. So merging pet supplies with the box could be interesting where you get all these goodies up front. You want to be selective in the products you have because if you have too many products, it's going to feel like nothing's working. So be selective, test fewer products, see what's working and drill into those. Music, this one is very lucrative, but it requires licensing, relationships, artists, and there's also a lot of players that are established in the music industry. But the real disruptive thing that Deep Sound IO is doing, a partner of mine, is licensing at a lower cost. You have to think that movies are licensing a 30-second soundtrack for about 10, 20, 50,000, where it should be inexpensive to the point where you can sell volume over these inflated licenses. Photography is very interesting, but you have the Gettys of the world, the Shutterstocks of the world, so you can create photos and get onto these platforms to help build momentum and exposure, but it's very saturated. And unless you have a great niche or a good talent, or you're really willing to travel to these unique destinations to capture those shots, it could be a losing enterprise. Woodworking projects and making boards, furnitures, and decorative items is interesting because people go through these. How many times do you buy a cutting board? It starts to smell, or you want a charcuterie platter. You can go from low end to high end. You have a lot of different entry points. And again, this is something that's great for offline. Tote bags is cool, especially if you're partnering with an animal shelter and you're creating tote bags to help raise awareness and raise funds. You can really inject yourself into the community by making yourself a fundraising item. That's one I really tout a lot. Make yourself a fundraising object because that can help generate revenue. And you don't necessarily have to be a nonprofit to do that, but you can actually influence the success of nonprofits by offering your products as a substitute. Sauces and condiments. You want to make hot sauce? Go do it. People love hot sauce. Fragrance oils and blends. brands. Fragrances, again, it's just like cosmetics, really high markup, lots of competition. We have a boutique fragrance company that I'm mentoring in Paris, drowning in competition. If they're not running ads, they're not getting sales. And if they're running ads, the sales aren't good enough. And it's just barely keeping things afloat. So you have to look at other avenues. Online isn't going to be your bread and butter in that industry. Paper products, I think this is interesting. You can do a lot of things. I don't know a lot about paper. I just hold paper occasionally. You can create different sort of greeting cards, party decor. But again, you're competing with discount retailers and Chinese manufacturers that can ship it quicker than you can. But again, this is artisan. You need a unique story. We worked with an artisan who created her own journal for cancer patients so they can journal and actually help recover by going through the stages of mental fulfillment, of being healthy and going step by step through this process. And she has a unique story. I actually have a YouTube video on a podcast I did with her. Her name is Arona. Personalized gifts is really cool. You can get a laser printer and offer customized items, monograms, or unique keepsakes. I think this one's really important. I worked with a client out of Canada, and what we recommended for him to do is partnering with flower shops and things like that so they can actually utilize their machine. You have to think about your equipment cost because he invested into the equipment. It's very expensive, but if you're only utilizing your equipment, here's an example. You only use your car 5% of the time if you have a car. And that other 95%, well, you're still paying for the fees or the maintenance and all the things that go into it. And the same is true in hand goods. And if you have all of this materials and you're not utilizing it, it's just a cost. It's a liability. So getting more utilization out of it, especially by partnering with somebody that's offline that could basically call you up and say, hey, I have a client. I want to utilize this. They included a package. You negotiate some sort of rate and you can activate that profit center. Gift baskets and other boxes, you can actually think about supplying some of the goods in order for other e-commerce stores to have unique offers. So if you are in, let's say, this can go from anywhere from food boxes to actual gift boxes. This is a great one because you can actually approach e-commerce retailers directly and offer them as an advantage for them to stand out. This does take a lot more effort because it requires suppliers, quality control, and you also have to do a lot of logistics here. But if you're willing to do it, this is a big winner. Natural cosmetics, 26% of our annual turnover is in cosmetics. We have a lot of experience in cosmetics. You have to experiment with a lot of different products. There are a lot of areas that are competing. We're seeing more bio and more activated living cosmetics is a new trend. A lot of the time, these cosmetic brands, they actually have a chemist or somebody that can formulate it, whether they're in the industry or they have that skill. And you really need to come to the table with some good skills here. So I'd recommend actually trying to reach out to some boutique cosmetic firms and try to add some value there by selling their products. I think the first thing you can do is we worked with a lotion CA out of Canada, and she licensed a lot of products. Being a first-party affiliate, having exclusivity on a market to sell these cosmetics is a good way you can do that, especially by having a website. But remember, if you're doing cosmetics as a partner, typically you can't list those prices online, and this is going to impact your results from ads and any sort of paid traffic. So with cosmetics, there's a lot of intricacies, there's a lot of negotiation, there's a lot of cosmetic issues that you have to deal with, especially quality control. Cosmetics expire. So watch out for cosmetics. It may seem easy to enter into, but a lot of the time you're just going to end up making a product that has a formula that's not unique with all the other products that are on shelves now. Now posters, this is a cool one, but this also gets into printing. You need a printer or a drop printer. If you're doing drop printing and you're essentially taking all those costs and the shipping costs, it's razor thin margins. If you can build up a unique channel, let's say like baby wedding photos and things like that, eventually you can pivot and buy this equipment and increase your margin. So some of these key takeaways is you want to start small, test your ideas on Etsy. There are tools that can help you analyze Etsy. You want to focus on quality, high-end materials, and you want to use that as a part of your story. Branding is key. You can start small with your brand. Don't overinvest in your brand because your brand is going to evolve. It's going to grow up. It's going to turn into something else. So be prepared to pivot. Research your market. This is really important. Do keyword research and analysis. Scale strategically. Sometimes you're going to pay yourself to learn. And that happens a lot in the scaling process and the ad process. You want to make sure you have that cash ready to either buy inventory, because that's a bottleneck. If you're scaling and you can't buy inventory, you are likely going to stay in the same position. But if you're scaling in the sense that you have positive cash flow, can reinvest into inventory, start investing into marketing, and focus on your major profit centers offline, that's going to be a huge win. And the time to start is now. It's booming. E-commerce is booming. I'm even thinking about starting a couple of these businesses myself because it's fun, it's profitable, and it's something that we can scale here at Zima Media. They're perfect to give you this flexibility. I hope you found these ideas helpful. These 25 business ideas are really unique. Tell me which one of them you've tried or you're going to try this year, and make sure you like and subscribe and follow me for new tips on Shopify marketing and other things to help your business grow and thrive in the new year.